Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. I'm your old pal Emac coming to you on New Year's Eve with one Adam Ship My Money Share as we're taking a look at the New Year's Day 5-game slate. Hey, they're starting it at 7:30, so most of you should be up and cognizant by the time the lock happens. But you can lay in bed and listen to this or listen to this while you're getting ready to go out. Adam, talk to me. What's up with your New Year's festivities?
Still kind of putting things in motion, but apparently I think I'm going out somewhere in D.C. tonight, which I'm sure will be a great time dealing with everyone in D.C. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully I'm back tomorrow.
All right. Well, I'm going to be eating dinner here shortly and watching some basketball and probably not seeing midnight, depending on how late the Golden State Phoenix game goes. So,
yeah, that's my normal New Year's goals.
Yeah, hashtag married life. We may or may not watch the ball drop. It used to be great on the West Coast because you could watch the ball drop at 9 o'clock and then go out. And we used to just have some raging house parties, bring your sleeping bag, spend the night. Nobody would drive because we didn't have Uber back then, and getting cabs was damn near impossible because, wait for it, you had to use your phone to call them and get a dispatcher, and that was just a nightmare. But I don't know. I like being home on this one. I like being home on most of the holidays. I was hoping some of our neighbors would have a party or something, but the ones who usually have it just got back yesterday from a week-long cruise. I don't know if they did one of those Disney-themed ones or something like that. But have you seen some of these cruise ships, Adam? My God, it is like a floating city. I don't think I ever want to go on one because I don't want the norovirus, but whatever.
Yeah, no, I've been on one. My friend got married a year and a half ago, I guess, in the Bahamas or Turks and Caicos or something. And so we went on a cruise for that. It was fun. It's not something that I would do regularly, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get on to the show here and look at the slate because it's a 5-gamer. Nothing too crazy, no major injuries. Again, it starts at 7:30. We've got, just scanning through, nobody is on a back-to-back, at least nobody playing on New Year's Day, played on New Year's Eve. I hope the players, are in bed and getting their rest, but who knows? So there's always that wild card. Thank God these games don't start till 7:30, but we'll see what happens. We've got a few injuries. Joel Embiid is questionable with a sore knee. Ricky Rubio was out for a game, but he has back and knee issues. He should be back. Emmanuel Mudiay questionable with an ankle. Gary Harris and Will Barton are close to returning from their respective hip injuries. We don't know what's going to happen there, and that will throw a wrench into where all the pricing is on for Denver because they've been playing without those two guys for such a long time. But I don't know that they'll come back in the same game. It sounds like Harris might be a little further along than Barton, but they're both starting to practice. Mo Harkless, a little dinged up, sore knee, played a bunch of minutes there guarding one Kevin Durant, but he should be good to go. And then I don't know, I haven't got word on Enes Kanter yet. I think, did he miss? He didn't actually miss a game, but he's played 17 and 14 minutes in the last 2 games. Grand total of 2 fouls. One of them he was ejected in the fourth quarter. That was when he played 14 minutes. I think he's just feeling the frustration of the Knicks being the Knicks and mucking around with his minutes. Any other concerns out there as we start in?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right, let's look here. We'll go position by position as we are wont to do. If you guys want to try out Awesemo, you can get a full week of premium content for free. Use the promo code EARLYBIRD, all one word. Go to awesemo.com, click the join button, fill in your information, pick a package, pick one with the Fantasy Cruncher add-on, and you get that for a week. You will not be billed for a week. You can cancel anytime in that first week, and you still won't be billed, but you'll get that content for 1 week. And it's a great way to check things out. We've got all sorts of projections, mega articles behind the paywall, and a lot of good stuff there, plus the ownership projections, which I think are second to none here, and that is something I have been using quite a bit for basketball. My first time doing it is I dabble with this mass multi-entry, and it's been a lot of fun. So let's jump in here, Adam. Point guard, the world is your oyster. We've got Damian Lillard in Sacramento. Is this a grandma game?
Didn't he have a huge game?
How far
Sacramento from Oakland?
Sacramento is not close to Oakland. I think it's about 5-hour drive maybe.
Okay.
But I thought he had a grandma there. I'm going to look that up. Talk about point guards, and I'm going to manufacture some narrative here.
All right, go for it. But yeah, obviously a really good spot narrative or not for Dame Lillard, against Sacramento, one of the fastest teams in the league, and not particularly good defensively either. Lillard's been playing plenty of minutes lately, and yeah, it's just a spot where he has monster upside, and with being a 5-game slate, don't have quite as many guys for him to compete with in up at that top pricing tier. So I think Lillard's a really good play.
All right. What about Simmons, Fox, Moutier, Morris? We've got all sorts of guys here in the middle tiers. Not a lot of injury news just yet. Something will happen. Someone will have flu-like symptoms. Wink, wink, nod, nod, if you know what I mean. But I suspect somebody will end up sitting that will throw everything out of whack. What do you like at the rest of the point guard position?
Yeah, I mean, De'Aaron Fox obviously has been playing really, really well. You can get him as a correlation play with Dame Lillard. Should play 34 to 36 minutes, has a mid-20s% usage rate, an assist percentage up near 30%. So there's a lot to like there. Jamal Murray will be impacted by that Denver news that you mentioned. If Barton and Harris are still out, then I think you continue to see around 36 to 38 minutes from Jamal Murray in a really, really nice matchup against the Knicks. If Harris and or Barton are back, then I think it downgrades Murray enough in terms of usage and possibly a few minutes to where he's probably a little bit overpriced. So certainly want to keep an eye on the news there. Eric Bledsoe is a little cheap. Ricky Rubio has a tough matchup, but there's a little bit of upside there as well. In general, though, I think it's going to be a position where I want to pay towards the top.
All right. I'm looking at the game. It was February 9th, 2019. CJ McCollum did play. I couldn't find anything about Lillard's grandmother other than she is in the Bay Area, which makes sense since he is from Oakland. But he did drop a 70 fantasy point game. So perhaps that's what I am thinking of. But looking at anything else here at the point guard position interest you, or shall we move on to the 2 guard?
I think that's about it. Like, you can get into Monté Morris. He's obviously been playing really well, but as far as priorities go, going to be looking toward the top.
All right. Now we've got some choices here. We've got Donovan Mitchell squaring off against Jimmy Butler. We have Middleton and Bledsoe going against Detroit. You've got Bogdan Bogdanović going against Portland there. He's been really turning it on. Here at the 2 guards, those are the guys that are kind of making my short list. Of course, you have Lou Williams playing one of his former teams going against Philly again. And then Joe Ingles, Jingles, as we like to say, is 5,200 on DraftKings. That's somewhat of an intriguing price. Where do you fan out your looks here at the rest of the position? I do call up Joe Ingles because he has been somewhat limited with his minutes in the last 2 games. They've both been blowouts. Actually, the last 3 games have been blowouts here for Utah. They destroyed the Knicks by about 30, lost by about 20 to, Philadelphia, and then they won by 20 against Portland. He had better minutes in that Portland game, but he's someone I think if people are game log watching are not going to go to. So thoughts here with our shooting guards.
But yeah, Buddy Hield at the top. Again, kind of like De'Aaron Fox, a nice correlation play, assuming that we're just going to naturally get a lot of Portland in lineups because of their matchup. You can run it back with these guys that just play monster minutes and have high usage rates like Hield and Fox. Jimmy Butler obviously let down everyone in his last game against Portland. Embiid's questionable here. If Embiid's out, then Jimmy Butler is once again one of the top plays on the entire slate, regardless of position. Obviously that game was just an absolute disaster, but you can't really take that into account when looking at this one. And it is an appealing matchup against the Clippers. But even if Embiid's back, looking at a $6,900 Jimmy Butler with guard and forward eligibility on DraftKings, I think that's still a price point where at the worst, you normally are going to get a satisfactory game, and he certainly still has upside to really, destroy it. So him and Hield at basically the same price point, I think, are my top 2 plays at that position. Then you start getting into guys, like Khris Middleton, CJ McCollum, who obviously is in a very, very good matchup. Joe Ingles, as you mentioned, tough matchup and not really the highest ceiling guy, but is cheap enough where I think he has some merit.
Yeah, and on a 5-gamer, you've got to start to winnow your way into some different strategies, finding some of these lower owned guys. That's kind of what popped for me with Joe Ingles. One guy who has been playing a lot of minutes, Adam, not much usage though. One Fred VanVleet. I like to call him Fred Van Elite. I think for a special Fred Van Elite fan club contest, which I run on DraftKings, it's only $1. I have to play Fred VanVleet unless he is ruled out. I got second on Sunday, had one hell of a game, put up 300 with him in my lineup. Adam, a lot of Karl Anthony Towns on Sunday, so that was good. I didn't go with Jimmy Butler, so I worked out there. But we'll drop that on the old Twitter timeline. Maybe we'll make it a 50-person contest. It will have to fill to run if I go over 20, but we've been filling it at 30 recently, and it's a lot of fun. Plus, hey, then you can give me crap on Twitter, and what is more fun than that, Adam?
You can do that regardless.
Well, this gives people a starting point. There's so many things I can be teased about, but this at least hones it down so people aren't just getting, kid in a candy store. Oh, what are we teasing Mac about now? We'll have what happens there. Hey, random question. I did catch part of the DFS strategy show with you and Josh. What was up with your Garrett Temple dream? We're going to bring this up on multiple shows, but I did hear that as I was running errands this morning.
Yeah, I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night and I think had a dream about Garrett Temple when he was playing on the Wizards. I hope I'd had a dream and it wasn't just like the first thing on my mind when I woke up at 5 a.m. or something. But yeah, I don't know. If he has a good game on whatever today is, Monday, then I guess I'll have to start playing guys that I dream about.
Yeah. There we are. And I think this might be a hint of illness. Perhaps you have a little bit of a fever or something going on, because Garrett Temple, not exactly the guy. I could see dreaming about, like a Michael Jordan or somebody iconic, and you're at a game and they win a championship or something. But Garrett Temple, interesting. That's the kind of analysis you get here at Osmo.com. We're talking dreams. Hey, there we are. Giannis, did I really just do that? Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Greek Freak, the alphabet, whatever you want to call him, is phenomenal. He is 11,600. He is going against Detroit. He could make or break the slate. Over his last 3 games, he's averaging 65 DraftKings points per game in just 35 minutes per game. I think that's the most impressive thing is his minutes. He's coming off a triple-double where he played against Brooklyn, 34 minutes, 31 points, 10 boards, 10 assists. That's awesome. His last 3 games, he's gone 30 and 10 or better in the rebound category. He has 30 points or 31 points in 4 of his last 5. He seems like he's in the zone right now, Adam. What do you want to do with this? Because his shooting percentages, 76%, 50%, 62%, had a bit of a dud, still put up 31 fantasy points, but he shot 25%. But coming into that game, he was going 61, 71, 71, 73, 57. This guy is just amazing, but can we earmark so much of our salary cap to him?
Yeah, a lot obviously is going to come down to, how much value opens up and how easy it is to get him in the lineups, because, I like him a lot. There's no question about that. It's not the most appealing matchup against Detroit, but it's not, a terrible spot either. But as we've seen already, the mid-range here is relatively strong on this slate. You have Dame Lillard, who we already talked about. You have, at this position, you have Ben Simmons going against the Clippers. It's a slate where if there's not really good value that opens, then I don't think you have to force Giannis in. But if there are 1 or 2, relatively good, cheap guys that open up, then Giannis obviously should be a priority.
In his last 21 games, how many do you think he has of at least 50 fantasy points or more?
In his last 21 games, 15.
18.
Wow.
That's pretty impressive, and and most of them aren't even close. They're into the 60s and 70s. So just pointing out that you're going to get sticker shock when you see his price, but wow, that is a phenomenal little bit of game log sleuthing there. Looking down for some of the cheaper guys, you got New York going to Denver. So, of course, we've got Tim Hardaway Jr. will be taking some shots at altitude. You've got Kevin Knox in there. 5,900 feels a little bit spendy, but he's been, dare I say, solid. recently. He's getting in the 20s to 30 fantasy points. Your price may be a little bit better on him on FanDuel or Yahoo, but 5,900 feels like right about the breaking point here because I'm projecting him out for 29 fantasy points. So that's kind of at that 5 point per thousand on DraftKings where your players start to fall out of your mass multi-entry crunches. What do you like here from the mid-tier for small forward?
Yeah, so I mean, I already, kind of alluded to Ben Simmons in what I think is a pretty decent spot against the Clippers. He gives you that same triple-double upside. Obviously not, the huge triple-double upside that Giannis gives you, but he gives you kind of baby triple-double upside for almost $3,000 less. You already talked about Jimmy Butler at the shooting guard position. Tobias Harris at 7,300, I think is perfectly fine. Him and Gallinari both. I think it's Gallinari, the small forward on FanDuel. I think are both, perfectly reasonable options. Gallinari actually has averaged 1.1 fantasy points per minute over the last month, and which puts him right in line on a per minute basis with Montrezl Harrell, who everyone loves the roster. But you get more minutes from Gallinari in the same production. So I think either one of those guys are fine in the spot against Philly. You mentioned Kevin Knox. Minutes are there. Production, your guess is as good as mine. And the price tag has come up. So I would try and get to a Gallinari, Harris, or even Bogdan Bogdanović before Kevin Knox, but I'm not opposed to Knox.
All right, one value guy that's kind of popping out here, JJ Redick, 5,100, is going back to Los Angeles. He spent a couple years there, so he should be familiar with these shooting environments. You got Jae Crowder all the way down to 4,100. That's going to be a tough sell. He is, especially coming off that back injury, but he's someone that when he puts it all together can get you in that 30 fantasy point range. Maybe 10-15% of the time. Anybody else here at the discount bin as we look for some early placeholder value?
No, I think that's about it for me. I don't mind Redick, but not a priority. Crowder, yeah, Crowder's okay at that price tag. Wilson Chandler's okay. I mean, those are the kind of guys you'll end up looking at if better value doesn't open up. Same goes for Mo Harkless.
All right, let's see. Yeah, he spent 4 years there with the Clips. Of course, he's been with Philly for the last 2. I forgot he had a sort of a midseason trade there to Milwaukee once upon a time. I remember him from the Orlando days, but you realize he has been in the league for 12 years now. That's been a long time.
Yeah, he was drafted like when I was in high school.
All right, well, I was out of college by then, but hey, whatever.
I remember watching him at Duke when I was in like middle school and high school.
Yes, I remember the days at Duke as well. Moving along here to power forward. Oh, reminder, if you guys have not yet signed up for Yahoo, if you use the promo code OSMO with your first deposit, you will get a deposit match up to your first $30 deposit in Yahoo player points, which are available for immediate use into contests. So that's a lot of fun. Now, you can already have a Yahoo account because, good God, we all have been playing on Yahoo, well, at least me, for, God, almost 20 years now. But if you have not yet made a deposit in the DFS contests, you get that special bonus if you use the promo code OSMO. They are not running the $1 Million Baller this week, but they are running their $500,000 contest with no rake for NFL. So you'll want to check that out. I'm sure we will have some Yahoo specific content for that. Moving along here to power forward, Adam, we got a bunch of people that are, of course, multi-position eligible. What's up with Pascal Siakam? He kind of fell off the radar a little bit for a couple games, but he has hit 37 or more in 4 of his last 6 games. Is he someone you can go to at 6,000?
It's just kind of an unappealing spot against Utah. I don't mind him. It's just I'd rather find the money for like Gallinari or Harris, who I talked about at the small forward position. I think that it's a decent spot for Noah Vonleh. It's a decent spot for Luke Kornet. It's a good spot for Al-Farouq Aminu. It's not that I like any of these guys really, but I'm not prioritizing Siakam against Utah out of that group.
Vonleh's interesting. Over his last 8 games, he's averaging in the mid-30s for DraftKings points. We know that Denver has the big front court, so they're going to need a lot of Vonleh on the court, they being the Knicks. I think he is someone I would go to over Kevin Knox. If you were choosing between that duo, which would you give the edge to?
I think they're close. I would probably lean Knox just because I'm more confident in his minutes. But I think they project within like a point or two of each other.
All right. And then mucking with Denver, we do have Paul Millsap back. Think about that. They were without Gary Harris, without Will Barton, without Paul Millsap. Millsap played 14 minutes. He had played on the 29th. He had not played since December 7th. So he missed about 9 games here. Thoughts on him at all? Because he is someone I think is going to be off everybody's radar. But if he's only getting 25 minutes, which is just my guess, is that worthwhile? He's $5,400. That's a nice price there on DraftKings if we get minutes.
Right. With how bad this position is, I really don't mind taking a chance there as long as other people aren't doing it. You know, if we're expecting 22 to 24 minutes or something out of Millsap and everyone has the same idea, then by all means, just roster someone else. But it's not like there's a ton of opportunity cost here. You know, the position's really, really bad on this slate. So I don't mind, you know, in tournaments taking a chance and just hoping that you get one of those, you know, 1.6 or whatever fantasy point per minute games in his 22 minutes.
All right. Last guy is kind of help us transition over here from power forward to center. It's Luke Kornet. He has started the last 2 games for the Knicks. Probably why Enes Kanter is not thrilled, but he's put up 30 and 40 fantasy point games, DraftKings scoring in those 2 contests. Is he someone you would consider giving a look at here at just 4,600?
Yeah, I mean, not a particularly appealing matchup for him, but
we've only got 5 matchups out. We're going to have to pick and choose somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's not the worst. So. Yeah, he's fine. I'm not excited about it.
All right. Well, who's ever going to be excited? But although I always laugh when Josh Engel calls him the unicornet. So I find that amusing because, hey, I love puns. Center.
Well, and then Chris is the unicorn, right?
He is the unicorn. And then, but the unicornet is not much of a substitute for his counterpart who is on the shelf. Closing out, let's look at the pivot position here. We have Jokic in a nice matchup because I just don't know who's going to be able to slow him down for the Knicks, but he's been hit or miss lately, and we like the upside. We like it when he takes shots, but sometimes he doesn't shoot nearly enough. I don't know why he's not taking in the high teens for field goal attempts each game, but in his last few, 11, 14, 5, 15, got ejected in that game, 25, 19. That's what I want to see, the 25 and the 19. In those 2 games, 66 and 47 DK points. What do you like here with Jokic or moving on down the price list?
In the game where Jokic took 5 shots, it wasn't by choice. He really could not shoot. Like the Spurs were double and triple teaming him every time he tried to get toward the basket. So that was game plan. It wasn't one of those games like we saw earlier in the year where Jokic just was passive. He really did not have a choice in that game. So I do like Jokic a lot in this spot against the Knicks. You know, whether it's Kornet or Kanter or anyone else out there, I don't think they're going to really do a good job of slowing Jokic down. The only issue is that there is a strong mid-range at this position, much stronger than, you know, at the forward positions. So I don't know that allocating money to the top end of this position is necessarily the best move as far as roster construction goes, when you can save some money. And it's not a matchup I love for Andre Drummond, but he's cheap enough that he still has upside. Same goes for Blake Griffin, really. But then even below that, you have Yusuf Nurkic in a great matchup against the Kings. You have Rudy Gobert, who's been playing out of his mind lately, going against Toronto. You have Cauley Stein against Portland. It's, you know, a mid-range that offers plenty of 40 to 50 fantasy point upside.
Rudy Gay could be kind of interesting here. 8,000 may not be the most appealing, and gamers just don't seem to want to play him. But he's topped 45 fantasy points in 5 of his last 7. Some phenomenal games, including coming off a 25 and 16 game against the Knicks. You gotta like that. He's someone I think that could be staring us right there, right out in the open, and just people go around because he's sort of in that sweet spot where you're going to spend up a little bit here looking for, Nurkic or Drummond, or you're going to go try to save. So I do like that one. Anybody else here down with the cheapies? again, this is for placeholder value, but you've got Greg Monroe, who will probably play about 14 to 16 minutes against Utah because they're going to need some size. I don't know what they're going to do because he can't play defense worth a damn, but you got Mike Muscala here. Wilson Chandler's back, so that's kind of mucking up with his minutes. But if Embiid's out, that's going to free up some stuff. And then, of course, Boban. But I'm not playing Boban. Anybody here as we get down to the punts and close out the show?
No, I think it's a position that I'm going to want to just live in that mid-range.
All right, I have to look at the Costa Kufis game logs. Ew, not good. 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 14, 12, 15. If he got a few more minutes against Portland, I wouldn't hate it, but yikes. We're gonna have to hope somebody goes out and has a lot of fun tonight for one of these teams and calls in their veteranship and gets flu-like symptoms and is not in the mix. All right, that is kind of it. Reminder to anybody listening to this pre-New Year's Eve: be smart. Don't be dumb and dangerous. Be smart. Uber, taxi, all sorts of ways that you can get to where you need to go or leave the parties without getting behind the wheel. I just throw that out there because don't be stupid, I guess, Adam. That's the best way to say it. Don't be stupid. Final thoughts before we dip on out of here.
No, it's been a fun year. Hope everyone has a good New Year's Eve, a good New Year's Day, and I will have the deep dive article out at some point during the day on Tuesday.
At some point after 2 p.m. Hey, you get an extra 30 minutes because it's a 7:30 lock, and people are going to be crawling out of bed, one eye open, turning on the bowl game. So I don't think anybody will be in a rush to see that. But this should be an intriguing slate. Remember, sometimes on the holidays, you can find a little bit of overlay here and there. Just be ready to pounce on it wherever it may appear. And don't play without your means because, hey, we're starting off 2019. Wow. That is just kind of crazy to think about that we are almost at 20% of the way through this century. Let's see. Over here on Yahoo, they have posted their contests. They're doing a $100,000 baller. That is $10 entries. It's a 10-entry max, so you don't have to worry about everybody doing the mass multi-entry. And they're doing it no rake special. So they're taking in $100,000 and they are paying out $100,000. Make sure you sign up for that one because there are not too many deals as good as that. Now, it's not like we were getting the 25% added bonus over there, but it's not a bad deal nonetheless. And a lot of gamers have been playing over there to varied success because their pricing is quite different than any of the other sites. And it's something that people have not yet gotten used to. And there are some egregious mistakes being made by gamers. So we have been putting up a lot of Yahoo-centric content. So check that out. Definitely worthwhile. Promo code OSMO will get you a $30 deposit match up to your first $30. Again, that comes out in Yahoo player points, which are available for immediate use. Adam, anything you want to say? Any New Year's resolutions you're considering?
No, those fail immediately, so why make them?
There we go. There we go. Well, with that, gamers, good luck.